What's going on, everybody? Dr. Nash back again by popular demand with another walkthrough. Today we have Ben, and Ben's got a cool history, especially coming into CS. We've been working together now for just a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And with Ben, he's had low back pain for going on some years now. And Ben's got a neat background, especially with his golfing and just how active he is here at the fitness center. So we're gonna do a bit of a workup with Ben and how what we're doing with Ben, the adjustments are really providing his body to take the next step and gain traction in his healing journey. So what we're gonna do to start, I'm gonna have Ben lay face down for us. Okay, now with Ben, we're really checking leg length to start because this is giving us a clear picture into how his hips are functioning and also give me more insight in if there's any tension on his spinal cord. As I add pressure in between his left and his right side, I'm getting just a little bit more resistance coming through, pressure into his right hip. So I'm gonna approach from the right side. And as I just add a gentle rocking motion back and forth, and again, we've gone through an exam with Ben, so I've got some background in history, knowing where I need to be set up and also just having some good context. We know through his exam, some of his presentation, some of his prior history, that L4, L5 have had a lot of distortion with extension, meaning they don't have good extension primarily when he's doing things like squatting or deadlifting or just other activities where he's on his feet a lot. But we're also starting to address rotation components as well. We are getting some of that today for sure. Awesome. So we're actually going to start unique to Ben with his right side up, laying on his left shoulder facing me. One of the pieces that we really were working on in our exam was understanding Ben's tendencies, especially while he's golfing. And a lot of his training is centered around his golf game. So we're taking pieces of how he swings, how he approaches things, and also using it as insight into certain positions his body may have tendency to want to shift into, especially when he's in a stressed state. So that's what we're going to help his body unwind with. So especially here at L5, I'm giving some pressure and just getting some response from his body on if it's liking a little bit more clockwise or counterclockwise feed in. And as I get that feed, it's definitely liking the clockwise. So we're rolling. Beautiful. Up and in, really providing his L5 to create some space off the bottom part of his sacrum. Very, very nice. You're gonna flip to the other side, Ben. So we worked on L5 on his right side, and now what we're going to be doing is we're going to work up a little bit higher. We were primarily working on L5 on his right side. On his left side, we're going to transition a little bit higher up his spine, working on L2. Now, especially when it comes to flexion maneuvers, this is where he has a lot more built up history with having this L2 not really wanting to move as much, and we're going to provide a similar input, especially as we get them rolled. We're flaring these facets, which is making the adjustment really comfortable and really easy. So when I roll, it makes it really, really clean. Beautiful. As we go back through and recheck his leg length, things are a lot more even. And as I add pressure into his calves, and this is giving me good feedback on his spinal cord, which really can give me insight into how the rest of the spine can be moving or holding tension. It's more clear, but I can definitely still pick up some residual resistance here. So I'm gonna go on further and move up his back. Now, for Ben, this is right about level of T6. And as a golfer, having a lot of the rotation as he's swinging through, and typically most golfers aren't ambidextrous, so they're only golfing and swinging through one rotation plane. This is going to be a pretty common spot that we're adjusting regularly because he's done thousands upon thousands of swings. So he's got these patterns ingrained pretty deeply. So it's going to take some time, but when we're getting this area moving better and not holding stress rotated towards his right side, it's going to really allow freer motion here. And again, allowing his low back to open up more because he's had years of low back pain that also is starting to create a compensation pattern up in the middle of his back right here. Just getting good feedback in on Ben. Nice. Really, really clean, brother. Next, we're gonna move up into his neck. As we move up to the neck, there are a lot of tendencies on the upper part of Ben's neck that we found comes from him being left eye dominant. Again, coming back around to golfing, doing thousands upon thousands of reps, having a head slightly turned towards his left, being left eye dominant, he has a tendency to turn his head towards his right. And especially if he's lifted, working out, doing other things, these stress patterns, they can just get a little bit more set in stone, which we're going to help release. And again, when this is getting opened up, everything moves more freely down the spine, clearing things up the spine, and really just helping him feel a lot better. he gets enough flexion with his day-to-day job that we want to actually create some extension, which is going to help take even more pressure off this part of his neck. And what we're going to finish up with is this left side, C5. C5 is such an important piece because Ben's day-to-day job has him at a desk where he's looking down a lot. And when we're looking down all the time, it puts all these muscles in the backside of our neck in a really tense position, especially with how much technology is just ingrained into our lifestyle. This area builds up a lot of extra tension. So when we take pressure off here, it actually can help out his low back a lot too, because as above, so below. So when we are moving better, especially in his neck, there's less torque. Thanks for moving good for the camera today. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Okay. One of the other cool pieces we've been working on together is not just what we're doing here, but creating a more stable spine for him. So one of the other pieces we've been working on is something called Seated Good Mornings. With some of the challenges he's faced lifting weights, this is something we found that's not only gonna be working on better stability for his low back, we're also gonna be working on mobility at the same time with his hips. We're only as strong as we are mobile, and golf's not all about who's doing the most weight or swinging the fastest. It's about being clean, smooth, and comfortable while having some strength behind it. So Seated Good Mornings is gonna allow us to accomplish both things. And I'm gonna walk through what that looks like over here in this space. Seated Good Mornings are an essential exercise for anybody that's a functional athlete. This is one of those exercises that if everybody could do it cleanly, I don't think there's anybody that couldn't benefit from it. Now, if you have low back pain, this might not be the place to start. You really need to run things through a filter and understanding with your body, it's different than everybody else's. But if we're doing this exercise appropriately and correctly, and there's no flags or anything that's maybe not making this a good fit for you, it pretty much is gonna be 10 out of 10, an awesome exercise to add into any workout routine. Now, all we need, I'm gonna be using a kettlebell. You can use a dumbbell too. This is 12 pounds. On a ambitious day, I may get up to 25 pounds. Some people use a barbell with just the 45 pounds. Really depends on your own skill level. I wanna be doing really, really good technique with higher reps and lower weight. Because again, quality is much more important than quantity, especially when it comes to how much weight I'm moving. So there's two different grips. The one I'm primarily going to be showcasing is behind the head. For starters and beginners, I really recommend holding the weight out in front of you. I'm going to be sitting in two different positions. One, imagine it like it could be any chair you have at home, any stool or anything that you're sitting on. Another good one would be a bench. So the first one is a chair look. So I'm sitting on the edge of a chair, starting a really good upright position. I'm holding the weight in my hands. And what I want and what I instruct everybody to do is imagine you have a string pulling you from the top of your head, and that's maintaining as you go through the motion, which is gonna look like this. I'm gonna hinge at my hips. This weight is traveling down, straight down, string pulling out the top of my head. As my chest reaches my thighs, the weight hits the ground, or I feel like I'm rounding. Any one of those points is my stopping point, and I come on back up. If I go down and I have some instability feelings or things are not comfortable, this is probably a sign that your body's giving you this is not the right move for you just yet. As I go down, it's important to understand that if I feel like I'm reaching my limitations on my range of motion, I want to get further and I start rounding, that is where we're reaching a point that it's not going to get us any more benefit by trying to go further. We need to meet your body to where it's at. Rep right there and come on back up. Now, for people who have better mobility, have been doing this for a while and want to take it to the next level, what I'd recommend is having a bench that you're straddling and putting your weight in a behind the head position. Now this is in my hands, it's not resting on my neck. This is just the position I'm starting in. The idea is the exact same thing. I have the string coming out the top of my head, hinging at the hips, and as my chest reaches the bench, I come back up. And as we repeat these reps, you're gonna feel, at least I feel, a good amount of tension here on the front side of my hips, which is how we're working both hip mobility and low back extension. Two sides of the same coin, and lots of times we have tight hips and our low back isn't very strong. That creates a scenario where it's really easy to injure our low back, whether it's picking up groceries, swinging a golf club a little funky. By working on both these, making your body a lot more resilient, which in the long run is making you more adaptable. And here at Complete Connection Chiropractic, that's what it's all about, making you more adaptable human so you can expect better out of life. And in 2025, sky's the limit. If you want to find us, click the link below. You can reach us at 515-412-4784, and we'll see you on the inside.